Hey guys, Stefan here again. So this video is about the next Bitcoin, right? So you might see on YouTube some of the, let's call them crypto bros, who are basically giving you this kind of sales pitch. They're kind of going, oh, hey dude, like you got to get into this coin, like it's gonna do like 100x your money, and like it's gonna change the world, and oh my God, have you heard about like the lead developer of this thing and whatever? But really, they're basically just playing to your sense of greed. They're playing to your FOMO. They're playing to your fear of missing out. There's a whole bunch of cargo cult thinking going on around them. So they're trying to market themselves as, oh, look at this blockchain, or look at how much faster the transactions are. Uh, it it just doesn't make sense. It's it's a lot of people who are just feeling like they missed the boat on Bitcoin, and then they're kind of devolving into degenerate gambling on altcoins. It's the new penny stocks, and it's the new kind of .com, craze, right? Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. You don't need to be out there looking for the new Bitcoin killer. Bitcoin will be the next Bitcoin. All these shitcoins are basically just the next scam coin or shitcoin, basically. The way to think about this is you focus back on what's important. Scarcity, censorship resistance, monetary policy, network effects. They're the most important things that you should pay attention to, right? Bitcoin is literally, other than your human time, it's pretty much the scarcest thing on this earth. That is literally, that you just cannot get even more scarce than that. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about digital scarcity, and they can't actually produce more of it other than what's already algorithmically determined by the monetary policy, which is kind of, think of that more like the inflation rate of Bitcoin. So try to get to the underlying thought here, because if you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, I've missed the boat. I really wanted to get those massive 100x gains, and I'm not going to get that if I go with Bitcoin. Like, maybe Bitcoin is only going up 3 or 4 times a year, which is still massive. 300 or 400% per year would still massively outclass pretty much any standard kind of hedge fund return generally. Like, even 10 or 20% return is really good in the standard stock market world. Yeah. So I think with Bitcoin, you can't be too impatient. You have to lower your time preference and be willing to play this out for, it could be 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows? But the point is, don't just gamble it up on the crap altcoins, because there's no fundamental value there. You're not kind of understanding the underpinnings of the coin and why you think it's going to become a new world reserve currency and that. So the other point I wanted to hit on was this idea of AppCoin ideology. So people are coming out and marketing coins and ICOs and various other, you know, investments like this on the basis that you would use that token that they're selling you to buy that service for that particular thing. And it might be, say Filecoin or whatever, or whatever coin, and the idea being that you spend that token to use that service. But the problem is, where's the demand to hold? Because then people would just hold their value in the best coin and only transact into that coin at the last possible second when they actually wanted it. The value of a coin comes from people wanting to hold it. So if they don't want to hold it, they'll just move through it. Because remember, there is an opportunity cost with all these things. If I keep more Australian dollars, well, then that's less that I could keep in US dollars. If I keep more Filecoin or whatever these other coins are, or Neo or Ether and whatever, that's less Bitcoin I can hold. So you've got to think about which one of these coins is likely to win in this winner-take-most game. It's a winner-take-most game. The winner will probably take 80%, and all the other coins and all the other kind of stores of value will be floating around in that other 20% of the market. You want to be holding the coin that wins the game. And the coin that is most likely to win the game is the coin that has the strongest network effects around it. So you've got to think investors, exchanges, like Bitcoin exchanges, Bitcoin developers, the number of merchants who accept Bitcoin, financialization, and then which one of these is closest to becoming the world reserve currency. So think from an investor point of view. There's even a hodl mentality and an ethos around Bitcoin. People want to hold Bitcoin because they so strongly believe that this thing is going to millions per coin that they're planning to not spend until it gets to that point. Do any of the other coins have that kind of ethos? Maybe some of them, but not really. A lot of them are kind of treated that they're treated as a more temporary thing, and the people in them don't really think of themselves as Bitcoin hodlers. Yeah? And then another thing to think about is the exchanges. So there's some exchanges that only take Bitcoin in and out. For example, BitMEX. So you can put Bitcoin in and trade in amongst other coins, but it's Bitcoin in only and Bitcoin out only. So that kind of gives you a sense that Bitcoin is already becoming seen as the reserve currency of the crypto world. And our contention is that it will become the reserve currency of the global, of the real full world eventually. But it might take 10, 15, 20 years, who knows. Think of another thing here. Think of how traders, the altcoin traders, measure their profits. Some of them, true, they measure their profit in US dollars or whatever, but a lot of them actually measure their profit in BTC. So if people measuring their profit in BTC, then that gives you an idea of there's a network effect forming around this concept of the reserve currency. Or even consider when there's these hacks like the crypto locker type ransomware that they install some malware on your computer and they say, hey, pay up and then we'll give you the key to decrypt your hard drive. Which coin are they asking for there? Bitcoin, right? So you've got to really consider that from a network effect point of view, that it's gonna all coalesce around the coin that has the most network effects going with it. And not just that, it's the coin that has the best scarcity, the best monetary policy, the kind of the most decentralization, nobody controls Bitcoin. And these are the factors that you really need to focus and hone in on to understand why it is that Bitcoin is the one that is likely to win. You know, I can't guarantee it to anyone, but I think it's the most likely to win. The other thing to consider is look what happens when Bitcoin runs up and down. The altcoins basically ride the coattails of Bitcoin. The altcoins live in the wake of Bitcoin. The vast majority of them don't have any, like, they don't have any really significant innovation or really worthwhile innovation. Like some of them have kind of interesting innovations. Like there's a few of them that you might think of that, okay, they've got some innovation there, like maybe Zcash and Monero and so on. But ultimately, all the innovations that really matter will get implemented into Bitcoin. So, you know, you've got to remember that as well when you're buying into these other coins. And remember also that the market cap of a coin can be gamed. So the market cap of the coin can be seen as like the total value of that coin. So say there's 100 coins outstanding, there's one, each coin is $1, well the market cap of that coin, or the money supply of that coin, at least circulating supply, would be $100, right? But what's happening is some of these small coins, they're being manipulated off a very low base. So think of that. Like, I imagine if I invented Stefan coin and I said, oh, hey, I went and sold. I said, oh, hey guys, there's 1 trillion Stefan coins out there, but there's, you know, oh, well, in the total population, but I've only released, you know, a couple, and I sold one to my sister the other day for $100. Well, now the market cap of this coin is just going to be absolutely huge, and it would, you know, so you've got to appreciate that it can be sort of gamed in that way. Now, obviously, some of the crypto market cap websites will kind of filter out some of the low volume ones, but still, there is a bit of a phenomenon there that people can exploit. And what can happen is some exchanges actually have no fees. So there's a lot of wash trading going on that sort of is gamed to make the volume look much higher than it truly is. So you've got to be careful for that as well. So in summary, Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Don't get caught up in the FOMO. Just realize that we are still very, very early. If Bitcoin actually does succeed, current price now is what? I don't know, 9,000 US. If it does succeed, the actual value would be in the millions per coin. But you have to have a low time preference. You have to be willing to delay your consumption now and think of it in the future. Think for the future and plan for the future, right? And if Bitcoin turns out to be the one and we're going through an S-curve adoption, we are very, very early. We're probably like 1 to 5% of the way through. So it's not that most of the gains have already been taken with Bitcoin. We are still way, way early. Now, yes, it's true. You may not be able to get a 100x return on the coin in 1 year like you might be able to do if you gambled successfully on an altcoin, but there's not as much fundamental value with those altcoins, and you're kind of just gambling. So you don't know whether it's gonna, you have less certainty on whether you think, on whether it will be a good play, because you could lose all your money straight away as well. So yeah, keep that in mind. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Thanks, guys.